In this video, we are going to learn how to manage our layout tabs and create new layout tabs and learn how to bring in an Xref. I want to first start talking about external references. We refer to external references as Xref for short. And basically all an external reference is just a fancy AutoCAD term for a document you attach to a drawing. It is an external document that comes into your drawing, but it's not really a part of your drawing. It is pretty much a background for your drawing. You can manipulate it from your drawing that you're currently in, but typically we try to go back to the original drawing to do that instead of manipulating it through our drawing that it's attached to. We use Xrefs a lot in architecture. The reason being is that a lot of people, our consultants and other people within our office, work with the base plan of the plan itself. We don't necessarily put everything on that original plan. So we Xref it in, and then we actually put information on top of that Xref so it doesn't become a part of that original document, but you can see the original document with what you're doing currently. For example, you're designing a tall office building with multiple levels, and as such, the exterior stair towers and elevator shafts do not change from floor to floor. The interior, however, does. The first floor is a lobby, the second is a restaurant, and the third is storage, and floors 4 through 100 are office space. In short, for a designer, once the exterior is done, the rest is all interior space work. Therefore, going from floor to floor, the exterior design file can be Xref'd in and just hangs out, providing a background for placement of interior walls and other items. This dramatically reduces the size of each file, as a copy of the exterior is merely referenced and not part of the same file. If you have 100 floors to do, no problem. One Xref file of the exterior is all that is needed if those floors do not change. To summarize, Xref is used to reduce file size by attaching a core drawing to multiple files. Another good reason to use Xref is if a change is made to one part of the exterior, it will automatically be updated in every single drawing after that. So it is a nice tool for that. If someone's working in one of those drawings that drawing is Xref'd into, it will give them a message that says, hey, the Xref has been updated, reload it so that you can see those changes. This helps automate the design change to the core drawings. There is also some security that is provided by doing this. The main Xref file can be housed in a certain location, and only certain people can access that file so that there cannot be accidental changes. That's really important, like say if we have a structural column layout or some kind of walls that we do not want to move. That way there are no accidental changes to the drawing. If it's Xref'd in, then someone has the main control over those, so you do get a sense of security with that. I'm going to go back to my drawing so that we can talk about layouts and Xrefs in further detail. As a reminder, when you work in an office where you are doing drafting, typically their template are going to have the sheets set up for you. But again, you may end up being a drafting manager, so it's important that you know how all of this works together. The basic template that we've been working with on our layout tab down here comes in at 8.5 by 11. So let's look at this layout tab. If I right click on it, you see I have new layout. I have from template, I have delete, rename, move or copy, select all layouts, activate previous layout, activate model tab, page setup manager, plot, and some other items. What I want to look at is page setup manager. Now if I bring this up, you'll see it says layout 1 down here. It also says layout 1 down here. So I can actually go in and modify this one by clicking on the modify button, or I can go to new. So I'm going to do modify. And this looks very, very much like our print screen. We haven't done a lot of printing in here, but you have done it a couple of times, so you kind of know what this looks like. It's really important in our layout tab that our plotter be set to none. If I were to set this to, like, say, my printer, it's not going to let me have multiple sheet sizes. It's only going to let me have the sheet sizes that my printer will do. So if we set this to none and we go in here and look, we have all kinds of sheet sizes that we can pick from. And again, your company will probably have all of this preset for you. So say I want to do an 11 by 17. Again, I have ANSI B. A sheets are 8.5 by 11, B sheets are 11 by 17, C sheets are 18 by 24, D sheets are 24 by 36, and E sheets are 36 by 46. Again, they're about 2 inches short when you get bigger up here so that it allows room for printing and not going off of the edge. So I want to pick ANSI B 11 by 17. It also gives me the option of 17 by 11. So I want to make sure I pick 11 by 17. And the rest of this, I really do not need to change anything unless I want to change my orientation for some reason. And I'm going to say okay. And when I do, you're going to see my paper size get bigger. So I'm going to say okay. And then I'm going to say close. So now you see my details are smaller on the paper because my paper got bigger. The other thing I can do is when I right click on this, if I go to Page Setup Manager, I can actually create a new one. And I can name it whatever I want to name it. And I can tell it that I want to start with a particular one or whatever. I don't typically do that. What I typically do is, one, I get my very first sheet completely set up the way that I want it before I ever create my second sheet. That way it saves me a lot of steps in the process. So the very first thing that I would want to do is I want to rename this sheet. So I said this sheet was S-1. So if I right click on this, I can go to rename and it'll turn blue, and I can put S-1. So now I have my sheet named. I have my viewports on my viewport layer. Let's go look at that. When I had you create those, I had you put the symbol for no plot in here. This way, when we do go to plot this sheet, you're not going to see these boxes. But I need these boxes on here so that I know where the extents of my drawings are. At this point, the next thing I would want to do is I would want to put a title block on this sheet. There are a couple of different ways to do it. Today we are going to do it with Xref. In the next assignment, we are going to do it as a block. This is a good way for me to show you an example of an Xref. So what I want you to do before you ever do this is I want you to go into your folder for this class, and where you created your title block, we actually called it border, I want you to right click and go to copy, and I want you to put it in your new folder for this particular assignment. I don't want to use this one from your folder because we're going to make changes to it, and so it will change that original drawing, and I don't want to do that. So I'm just going to paste mine in here. So now I have that in here. So how do we get an Xref into our drawing? The first thing we want to do is I want to type in Xref. If I type in Xref, it's going to bring up External References Property Box. And over here to the left is a little drawing with a paper clip. And if I go to that, you see I can attach different types of drawings. I can attach an actual DWG, which is what we're going to do. I can attach an image. I can attach a DWF, DGN, PDF, point cloud, lots of different options. So I want to pick attached drawing. And now I want to go back to where I just put that title block. And I want to say open. Mine has a bunch of them in it, so it's going to look a little weird. As you can see, it came in based on how it was set up to be. So now I have added a title block to my sheet by Xrefing it in. If I want to make changes to this, I need to go back to that original drawing. So now I'm going to go back and I'm going to open my Xref. And this part of it is the original drawing. And I'm going to come in here and I'm going to change this to my name. And I'm going to change the assignment name. And that's good enough for now. So I'm going to go ahead and hit save. And now when I go back to my drawing, you'll see down here in the bottom, I have something that says a reference file has changed and may need reloading. And then it gives me a blue link. Right now, this still says your name and assignment name. If I click on that, you see now those were automatically updated. So again, in this drawing, I only want to have items that stay the same for every sheet. For example, I'm going to go back to this. The due date, that is going to stay the same for every sheet. So I could put in 4-25-21. The sheet size is going to stay the same. The part number may not stay the same because each sheet could have a different part on it. The scale may not stay the same. And my drawing right now, I have 2 different scales. So in here, I typically put C drawing. And I just abbreviate it as DWG. This is going to stay the same if I updated it to this year. And then my sheet number is probably going to change per sheet, because like this one was S1, but my next one may be S2. So I don't want that in this original title block. The last plotted on can stay as it is. So again, I'm going to hit save again, and I'm going to go back to my drawing 1, and so I'm going to reload it, and now you can see those changes have been made. So for the things that change per sheet, I'm just going to use my text to do that. So here for my sheet number, I'm just going to do this in my paper space, and I'm going to put S-1. And if this was my part, I would come in here and put boxes. And because my scales change, I don't have to put the scales in because I have them already on my titles here. So now this sheet is basically done if I had all of my different pieces on there. So now if I get ready to print this, if I go to print, and again in this case I want to pick some kind of a PDF writer, and you'll see it went to 11x17 and it went to layout. I don't need to change anything over here because this sheet is 1-to-1. And I'm going to do preview. It's always important to do preview before you print. And now you'll see those viewport boxes did not show up. This really isn't centered in my sheet. So if I click on the X, I could make some adjustments here. I could move this over and I can move this up. But again, most of the time this is all going to be set and preset into your template. So now that looks pretty good. So I would just go ahead and follow through and print this sheet. So now I have this sheet completely set. I don't want to have to go through the process of the Xref and all of that again. So what I can do is I can click on this layout tab here and I can do move or copy. And you'll see it says move or copy selected layouts, and it shows my S1, which is the one I had selected, and it says move to end, and I want to create a copy. So I can either move them around or I can create a new one. So I'm going to do create a copy, and I'm going to say OK. Now you notice it named it exactly the same, it just put a 2 behind it. So if I click on this sheet, it looks exactly the same because it is. So from this sheet, now I would rename it S-2, and I would go in and add whatever new details, and then I would go in and change these to be 2 so they match the sheet. And then all I would need to do is come down here and change the part number. Say these are boxes 2. and this sheet is S-2. And now I'm ready to move on, and I can just keep creating by doing move or copy, and move to the end, create a copy, and say OK. Right click, make sure I'm on the right one, and do rename, and name this one S-3. Go into this sheet, change my details. And I'm good to go. So now I have 3 sheets set up here. So if I go back into my border, and now I'm going to change this project name to boxes, and I'm going to do save. I'm going to go back to my drawing, and right now it says Xref paper space, and I am on S1. And if I click on this, now S1 is updated, S2 is updated, and S3 is updated. So you can see how it quickly changes everything in one location, so I don't have a title block on each sheet that I have to go and manipulate. So that is the advantage to using Xrefs in a drawing. And again, typically the Xref would probably be brought into your model space, and then you would draw over it in an architectural type situation. But it works the same with our paper space as it does. Now, if you click on this, you'll see it takes you to a different box. This is where you can actually edit it in place. It'll take me to that drawing. I say OK, and I could go in and actually change this. And save changes. Okay, and it actually changed it back in the original Xref. That is okay to do for quick changes and such, but most people like for you to actually go back to the original drawing to make the changes versus going in through your Xref. So that is a quick synopsis of paper space versus model space, setting up the layout tabs, and Xrefs. So next video we will look at your assignment.